Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with me, Vineet, on Loofre's exclusive channel where we have this hobby show and we talk to a lot of guests, people who've got hobbies, people who've taken the time out from their normal lives to do something special, to make something a little different from what normally all of us do. And his name is Varish, and he collects motorcycles. So the reason we thought that last couple of times that we've been doing the show, we've got people who've been showing us their collection of die-cast scale model cars. But today, this guy, he's an architect, and he collects motorcycles. So we're going from four wheels to two wheels, but let's get him on the show and let him tell you rather more about himself. And yeah, where is Varish? There he is.
Hello.
And hi, Varish. How are you?
Hi, Vineet Paji. I'm good. So nice to see you. How are you?
I'm great, man. I hope you're doing well and staying safe in this lockdown times that we have.
Yeah.
We're all restricted with limited mobility and everything, but I remember talking to you, and you said that something very interesting that you collect scale model motorcycles, and you've done a tour of India in this lockdown period. So that's very exciting. And I'm sure that all of our viewers would like to know what you've done and how you do it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. So, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. It's a great platform, and I think it's a great initiative also. I've been following this show, and it's really nice to come across all the other collectors from the country. Some really very talented guys who've been doing good when it comes to photography or when it comes to their passion of collecting models. So yes, couple of them have been from automotive industry, but unlike them, I am an architect by profession. But profession is something else, and the craziness is about something else that can also happen. So I've been quite crazy, a kind of a petrol head since my childhood. So in specific, I used to love motorcycles.
Why
So
motorcycles? Sorry to interrupt, but why motorcycles? Tell us that also. Yeah.
In any middle class family, I think the first vehicle that you own, I think it starts with maybe a two wheeler. So,
Okay.
back then my father had a Chetak, then later on we had a Kawasaki, and then later on you switch on to four wheels. But, that childhood memory of standing or sitting on the fuel tank of a motorbike or, just traveling on a motorbike is a very good childhood memory. And then even somehow I got more intrigued by how the motorcycles look, how they've been designed, and you know you get so much when you travel on a bike. You actually, when you're traveling on a bike, you feel the rush of the air, the gush of the air. You experience more. So I think that idea of motorcycle, for all the motorcyclists out there, they would definitely agree with me that traveling on a motorbike is completely a different experience altogether.
So it's all about the wind in your hair experience. I think that you crave it. Looking
Yeah.
at you right now, I think you've got enough and more hair all over the place. I mean, you're like, wow. You're not very religious or anything like that, are you? I mean, like, so something like that.
Uh, no, nothing like that. But yeah, it's been it's the regular stuff. That's all. But the collection that you see behind, actually, yes, there has been an immense passion towards collecting them. So I don't know. I spend a lot of time actually looking over the internet for new models and convincing my wife, in fact, see, this is a beautiful model. Let's add to the collection. So, and all of that kind of things.
But
So,
that's a
yeah.
very impressive display that you've got behind you of all motorcycles and everything. So tell us a little bit more about your collection. What kind of motorcycles you collect? What scales? Because I know that if we have the small 1:64 scale models and all, they're really really small. But I think you collect something bigger.
Yeah, so I'll also tell you a background story how it all started. But
Please.
I'm very specific about collecting only 1/12 scale. So it's comparatively quite larger scale. You know, especially when you talk about people collecting 64 scale, the Hot Wheels. Yes, most of the hobbies start there, and in fact, even I have a few. I had a few cars before these. When I came into these, I started with a few cars, but then I was not that passionate at that time. So it all started with, I think I was in my first year of my college, and I was here in one of the malls in Noida, and I was
Okay.
just crossing by one of the toy stores, and I saw these couple of models there. So in popular culture also, back in that time, there was a couple of movies that came up in Bollywood like Doom and all. Then we have these
Hmm.
Hollywood flicks like Torque and many such. So motorcycles, were very interesting. But I never knew that there were models of these motorcycles. So when I saw that on a shop, and I was just really, awestruck by it. So I had to get it. So I bought one. The first model I remember still, it was a Maisto 1/12 DXR 1050, and from that day, I think it was back in 2007. From that day till now, I think there has been no stopping, and doesn't seem like. So yeah,
So how
so
big are
it's one by
these
12.
models? Do you have one? Do you have one in your hand close by that you can just show us in front of the camera as
I
to
don't
how
have
big
one
they
in a
are, or
hand,
maybe
but
pull
I
out
can
one for
definitely.
display?
We can definitely go towards the display and we can have a look at it. So you want to do that now? I don't have one in hand right now.
Well, why don't you just pull out one in hand and just show us about how big it is, and then we can
Okay,
go and have a look at your impressive display. I'm sure all of our
sure, sure.
viewers would
I'll do that.
want to have a look at your display there.
So yeah, so this is how it looks like. So this is TSM made Ducati, Scrambler icon. It's 1/12 scale, so you
Okay,
can make it out by the size while I'm holding it in the hand. It's comparatively larger to the other models that you see. Uh, so
for
yeah,
sure.
but it has got immense detail. So the advantage that you get on a larger scale model is that yes, you get more details. The manufacturers get more possibility of adding up more details and making it more precise to the original motorcycle or the original model. So that is one advantage that I get of
Right.
1/12 scale model.
And do you get these motorcycles in bigger scales also, or is this the ideal scale of motorcycles that are available in diecast?
So yes, in diecast, one of the most prominent scales, of course, is 1/18. So there are a lot of people who collect 1/18 motorcycles also, which are comparatively smaller. But then you also lose a lot of details when it comes to the scale 18. But yes, it goes well with if you're also collecting 1/18 scale cars. So people do that, yes.
Okay.
Apart from that, 12 is one of the preferred scales for manufacturers. Then you get 1/10. There are limited models, limited
Which is
options, but
even
some
bigger.
very well-known brands like Shuko makes it in 1/10. And then you get
Okay.
1/6, which is pretty huge. So this is
All right.
quite good considering the space it takes and the detail it has.
So I noticed behind you that you've got lot, a lot of motorcycles. How many scale models do you have anyway? Uh, I'm sure you have a count.
Yeah, I've tried to keep account. So I have an Excel on which I keep writing whenever I add something to maintain my collection. Yes, I have a few cars also. I have a couple of Kin Smarts which come in varied scales. I have a lot of Hot Wheels, but I don't have a count of that. But for motorcycles, yes, because this is my primary focus of my collection. So the latest count is around 240, 250 different models in 1/12 scale only.
So
So
are
yeah.
these the scale models that you buy? Are they easily available here, or do you have to import them? Is it a struggle to get your kind of collection and stuff that you getting?
Yeah, so this kind of a struggle, I think all the die-cast collectors would know that we don't have all the brands available back here in India. So yes,
Right.
we have to depend on a lot of international markets, a lot of international sites. Uh, so even I am no exception in that case. I order a lot of models from outside, from Japanese sites, from eBay's, and initially, when I started with budget models, considering when I was a student. So I used to save my pocket money, and yes, back then the Maestros and the New Rays would come in just 300 bucks. So it started with the budget models, but now the expensive models, a lot of those brands are not available in India. So we are, yes, quite dependent on international sites, and we need to
So
import.
when you say the detailed models, and also what would be the price range of say one of these motorcycles that you've got in your hand?
So, say the Maestros, which used to cost me 300 bucks, back in 2007, 8, they are now 750 rupees for a regular model. So those
Right.
are the budget models. So
Okay.
these are easily available in India. But again, if you go into a particular range like the Harley Davidsons from the Maestros, they cost around 1200. The Royal
Okay.
Enfield models that they launched last year, they are around 1200 bucks. So these are the budget models. So as you go forward, you have many brands like Automax, which is a Chinese brand. Then we have Aoshima, uh, which is a Japanese make, which makes really incredible models. So they cost you around 3K or around 5K in that range, and
Oh
you
wow.
can so you can go on like this one. This is a brand called TSM. Uh,
Okay.
so this is even more detailed. If uh, you can't feel it, but the cushion of the seat is actually soft. So you have the
Oh.
rear suspension working. You even have the front forks working,
Oh my
and
God.
you have the foot pegs and everything, which actually can open, and can be folded. So
Oh
a
wow.
lot of details that comes with these models. So these models would cost you around 10K easily. So that,
10K.
yeah,
10K.
yeah.
10,000 rupees for one of these models that you've got in your hand. So if we take an average, you told me that you've got about 240 models, and even if we take like 6K or something like that for this thing, your collection is worth a fortune, man. I mean, like, wow,
No, I don't think
wow.
6K can be an average because I have a lot of budget models and I've been collecting since long. And also, you must be knowing that the worth of it also. If you keep them like in a mint condition, the worth also is kept up to the original price. But like I don't keep them in very mint condition. I don't keep them in the box. I like to put them on the display. Yes, I get issues like dust and all, so I clean them up also. Uh, there are some even more expensive models because of their rarity. Some of them are very rare
Okay.
models made to limited numbers. So, do you want me to take a tour of this displays and I
Yeah,
can show you
please.
every
Will
model?
be awesome. We'll just give you the whole screen and everything, and yeah, show us.
Okay, sure. So let me turn on the lights and maybe then. So what I've tried to do here is I've tried to keep them. I've tried to keep them make-wise. Like you can see, I have these two lines of Ducatis here, right? Below that we have all the Aprilias, MV Agustas, and Moto Guzzi's and Benelis. Then as we move up, I have a huge one dedicated line for Harleys. These are all the Harley Davidson models that I have. One on the left, on the corner that you see, that is from a popular series, The Walking Dead. That's a McFarlane made. The second model next to it with a sidecar is a genuine Harley Davidson product, and rest of them are Maestros. As we move up, there are these couple of Kawasaki's. Then we have the Triumphs. These are some mini champ models which are more premium models and expensive comparatively. Then there is Royal Enfield's Indian and Bat Pod from the Dark Knight series. Then I have a line dedicated to Kawasaki's. So these are the Kawasaki models, the different Kawasaki models that I have. And then on the top we have top shelf we have some of the Husqvarnas and the KTM's. So those are all the KTM's. So this is one part of the display, and then we have the second part there. So in that I have some custom choppers on the lowermost level, and then this is the Honda lineup. There are a few MotoGP bikes here, and rest are the CBRs and the road production vehicles. Then another line for the motorcycles, the huge gold wings, and even this really small motor compo. And there are some Vespas here. Then moving on to Suzuki, these are the Suzuki models that I have. A lot of different jigsaws, and I in fact collect different generations. So there are different generations of Hayabusa. Hayabusa being one of my favorites, and the golden mud that you see is the one that I was talking about. One of the rarest and one of the most precious models in my collection. It's a bits made model. So I believe only 250 were ever made in each color. So it's a very difficult find. Then we have the Yamahas. These are all the Yamahas that I have in my collection. Again, couple of different models of the R1. They're all different generations, and even the track versions, the M1s, and a couple of more. Moving on to this is the BMW section. So there are a couple of BMWs. There are some very old models made by New Ray, so not easily available again. Some rare finds, and these are some other bulkier bimmers. Then moving on, we have some Derbys, Gilera, we have MV Agustas, and a few more bimmers up there. So that is most of my collection of the motorcycles. Uh, then yeah, then I have a few cars also, 1 by 18 cars. You can see the GTR by the one that Brian had in Fast and Furious. Uh, there are these Rolls Royce, the Silver Shadow, and the Phantom. I've color coded and kept them. There's no theme here, so couple of 1 by 18 cars. Uh, I like the Aventador, so I've done collected Aventadors in different scales. So yeah, so that is my collection, most of it. Yeah, I'll take out the bits Hayabusa, and then we can come back to the place that we were in. Yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, like, all of us are blown away. And we've got Ashish here also. And he's saying, okay, great, for a change. There are some cars and all. I think you and him go back a long way. You guys seem like, you're the best of friends and things like that about, the kind of cars and bikes and stuff like that you talk and all that. Ashish was on our show a while ago, and he's a designer, and I know he's also a avid biker, and I think he's got a KTM Duke. So, what motorcycle do you have in real life? What is it that you ride?
Well, that's a funny story, and at the same time, the thing which got me into this collection. So the
Okay,
stories goes back to my college days. So
right.
looking at couple of my schoolmates and my college mates, all of them had a bike. So I wanted one for myself. So I went to my parents and I said that I want a bike, and they just straight away refused, saying that it's not safe. So especially me putting up in Greater Noida and my college in Noida, so my everyday commute route used to be the Greater Noida Expressway. So for them, it was never a safe option. and they never wanted me to ride a bike. So, but I
So they
always
gave you a
wanted
car
one.
instead. I mean, how lucky is that? Everybody is asking for bike, and your folks come up and say, no, no, you can't have a bike. Take a car, and you say, no, I want a bike. Okay, amazing. That is absolutely fantastic. We've got Mahi MSDV with us, and he's asking, can we buy? Is any of your collection for sale?
No, no, unfortunately, no. This is my personal collection. Though I have a lot of, it's a community, all these diecast collectors. So some of them do, come up with queries like, where can I find this model? So I'm happy to help
Right.
you find one. But all of these is part of my personal collection, yeah.
So when you import motorcycles and stuff like that, because a lot of times what happens is that when we 1:64 scale model collectors, we get cars or any of the stuff from abroad. We make sure that we're getting a couple of others. We get them and then we use them to trade with other cars that we don't have. So you don't get any extras when you're importing your motorcycles, or you only get for yourself. Mera and sirf mere liye.
Yeah, I haven't done that so far because considering again the size is large, and then one box is big enough, but if I order a couple of them, the box becomes larger, and then it becomes really tough for us, especially in India. There are these customs and lot many times our goods which are imported get stuck there. So I've never done that. I've always ordered just single model, but I would be happy to do that if anybody comes up with and shares the same kind of passion.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's what Ashish is saying. He's saying, yeah, well, his parents are the same thing, but he wouldn't budge. If only your parents would have agreed, we would have not seen this amazing collection. Well, yeah, Ashish, we totally agree with you. We would have never seen this amazing collection. But yeah, the point is that Varish took his guns and did that. So you don't actually have a motorcycle. Is that what you're telling me?
No, not yet. That's the funny part. But yes, I want to buy one, and I might soon be buying one. So, but yes,
अब तो अब
because
तो आप बड़े हो गए हो, अब तो आप रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो, अब तो आप उल्टी सीधी व्हीली टीली स्टॉपिंग वॉपिंग जो ये लोग सब करते हैं मोटरसाइकिल पे और all, आप लोग तो अब नहीं करोगे ना। आई मीन लाइक शादी हो गई ना आपकी।
yeah, of course, I have a kid also, a 2 year old. So yes,
या फिर
that way we are quite responsible. But then with responsibilities, a lot of other things comes, and then also one important thing is that uh, my every month there's a budget that also goes into scale model. So I'm very
okay,
conscious even when I want to spend elsewhere. So yes, in fact, one of my distant friend from Bangalore, he has a super bike. He gave me an offer that you give me your collection, I'll give you my super bike. So
no way, wow,
so
that is
that was
awesome.
one.
But then this has been your labor of love. I mean, you've been collecting for how many years now?
So say 13 years around now.
Wow. So 13 years you've managed to get this, and then you always go and select the special ones that you want. And considering the price that you're telling us that these things cost and would have cost you a bomb. So I don't think that's a bad deal. I mean, get the super bike and all, but yeah, I can understand the emotional attachment and everything that we have towards our toys and everything. They're more than toys for us. They're not really just stuff that people think. And do you keep your motorcycles only for display, or do you play with them? Because with cars, we're able to take them around and roll them and throw them around and do all of this stuff and all. But I believe with motorcycles, it's a little difficult to balance. वो चलती है कि नहीं चलती है अगर आप लेके ऐसे चलाओगे कि नहीं अगर
No,
I don't know.
yeah, you can't roll them like cars, of course. It would not balance on two wheels.
Right.
Maybe sometimes you can pull off a trick with a small distance, but yes, apart from just collecting and stacking them, I also love to click them, and this is
Oh,
something again that
you
I've been doing for as long as 11, 12 years now. So
Okay.
Again, it started with how you love a particular design, how you appreciate the motorcycle. And then in my early days I had a PNS camera, so I just took
Okay.
out a camera and I used to love to click them and capture what my eye is seeing actually, and share it with the people, see how beautiful this model has been made. So uh, so that has grown over this period of time. And now the kind of exposure that we have to the social media, and also looking at how internationally there are a lot of people who do toy photography and miniature photography. So I started taking this thing a little more seriously. But again, it started with my own flair for photography and a
Right.
couple of things that combined, because I am an architect by profession. So I used to love taking photographs, and then I was also a petrol head. So combining all three of them is something what I'm doing right now. So I build up small setups, which is called diorama when it comes to miniatures. I use some of my model making skills. So model making was a subject taught to us, and I used to love model making back in college days. I used to make
As an
lot of
architect,
models.
yeah, that is one of the things that you're supposed to do, because obviously when you design real buildings and things like that, it is important that before you actually go and build the thing in 1:1 scale.
Yeah.
Most of the your clients and ever they would want to see a scale model representation of uh, what they're actually going to get once they commission the work to you based on the design, whether everything falls right or not. So that's where the whole concept of dioramas comes in, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I've just combined all of these, including my passion for these motorcycles, my passion for clicking them, and now the model making stuff that I'm doing. So yes, I love to click them. That is one thing that I've been doing.
So you have an Instagram page, and you must have a lot of followers, and you must be influencing a lot of people with your crazy collection that you have when you do that. So coming to that, we had one of the collectors who I think it was the Bangalore edition that
Hmm.
we did the show, and he also is a content maker, and he does
Adventure now, yeah.
photography and things like that. And so you do that too. Amazing. Do you make movies as well? So I'm just wondering, because they'll be a little difficult to roll. What kind of photography or everything that you do?
So
Do you have something that you want to show us as pictures? Also, I want to ask you, uh, you actually told me that during this lockdown period, you had taken a tour of India with your scale model motorcycles. I'm most intrigued to hear about that. That यार घर से बाहर निकलते थे तो डंडे पड़ते थे, पुलिस वाले बहुत मारते थे. So I just want to know how you were able to do something like that.
okay,
You want to
so yes,
show us why don't you just show us I think you've got a video clip or something and all. I'm going to give you the screen, and why don't you just pull up that little video clip that actually shows us what you did.
okay, sure.
We've got Abhijay Jain with us, and he says that I always wanted to see this collection after following his page. And well, there you go, Abhijay. This is your chance. You get to not only see the collection, but you also get to talk to the man behind the collection and find out his deepest secrets as to what he does and how he uses the scale models. Because a lot of collectors, the different kind of collectors, who just buy them. The fun is in the chase, as they would say. They get it and then they put it up on a display. You've got a very nice display, but you're telling us you click pictures, and now you've taken this tour and all, which is something that we're most intrigued to see. Uh, I'm just gonna pull that up. There we go. Show us, man. Show us what you've been
Okay,
doing. Ooh.
so yes, I've been talking about that. I did a tour of country in this lockdown. So I'm going to show you a quick video of what I'm talking about.
Sure. That was most impressive, man. That is mind blowing as to how you were able to do something like that, and how just pull up a still picture of one of those things that you showed us, man. I mean, like, you know, that video was too fast, but it
Yeah,
was absolutely amazing. Can you just pull up some still pictures and just take us through some of the process that you follow to do something like this?
yeah, sure. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can all see your screen. Tell us about it.
So, this was one of these ideas. So, I've been clicking, like I said, for quite some time now. So, what I wanted to do was, I had this idea in my mind as soon as I got these Royal Enfield models that, I see them everywhere in my country. And like I love to travel also, so I thought that I'll take them, carry these with me, and I'll click them in the different places that I go. But since it was a lockdown, I think it gave me an opportunity that why to go out there and why not create that environment within the house. So that's how I took this diorama building up to this kind of a level. So, so the concept behind this was taking four cardinal directions and depicting the diversity that we have in these. If you go west or if you go south, like this one, or if you go say in the north somewhere, and the idea was to capture that essence, the character of that place, and click the model next to it. So I'll show you another quick video of how I did it on one of these.
So, what are you doing? Just talk us through this whole process that you're showing us all of this stuff, man. Insane. That is amazingly insane.
So, so
I
the thing
mean,
is
like,
that there is a particular style that I follow is that I don't like to post process my photos a lot. So I keep it to bare minimum, just the brightness, contrast, or maybe cropping them. But apart from that, whatever you see in any of my photographs have been not added digitally or any kind of modification graphically has not been done. So for that, what I do is I decide on a frame that I want. I visualize what
right.
I actually want in my picture, and I just quickly, in an intelligent way, try to put up those elements, create those elements to that scale, and create the kind of images that you see.
But isn't lighting a big challenge in something like this? I mean, you have to make sure, especially since you're going to be shooting this outdoor and everything, you have to uh, not only go ahead and create something like this, which is like almost lifelike, then you have to make sure that all the lighting and everything has to fall absolutely right. Especially when you've been shooting this, we saw some of the outdoor shots, especially the one with the Rajasthan one with the sand dunes and everything. That was absolutely brilliant the way you've done that. And I especially love the other one, that indoor shot that you've done of this guy in the jungle with his sitting over there with all of this thing, and it was absolutely mind blowing the way you did that. So tell us
Thank you.
about the process as to how long does it take you to do something like this, to create one of those dioramas that is there, and then to create that one particular shot, that one shot, how much time do you spend?
So, the thought process actually starts a couple of days, takes a couple of days. Sometimes, it just clicks. You're on the bed, you go for a nap, and then all of a sudden it clicks in the middle, and then, the next morning I start on this process. So, like for example, the Rajasthan one we just saw. So it took me 2 days to make the setup. So I just used some
Okay.
thermocols, stacked them up, gave them shape to add that volume. Then I dug up, some earth from the garden in the front, and then I had to, take out the fine dust out of that, and that's what you saw in the process also. Apart from that, I have this one figure. I'll show you it onto the camera. So this is a guy who has been traveling all around the country. One fortunate guy this lockdown, and this is a super flexible, figure. You can just, it has very good articulation without exposing any joints. So what we do is, in fact, my wife helps me a lot in all of this process. She's been really helpful. So like we do a lot of makeup on this. We change his
Oh,
attire. So the dhoti style pants that you saw was made by my wife on my request, and then I made the turban. I make small mustaches, and things like that to add the character to the person.
so Ashish is asking, do you ever get up in the middle of the night to make these dioramas? Could you have an idea, or it's just when you go off to sleep? So how do you do that, man?
So yeah, initially, see, this lockdown has been really great when it came to exploring these things. But before lockdown, when I used to go to work and when I used to go to my university and everything, so the only time I used to get was in the night. So also, like, I have a son who's 2 years old, 2.5 years old, and he's very
Right.
excited to see all of this, and you know he doesn't understand, so he might just pick one of them and it might break and all of that. That risk is always there. So I do this when he goes off to sleep. I do this a lot of times by compromising my sleep. So that's what you call, maybe when you're passionate about it, you just, there's the force that drives you. So that is how I've been doing this. So yeah. So the
That's
yes,
amazing.
the process can take up to 2 days to do one shoot. And if you would have asked me how you would have done it, then there are just very simple elements like these twigs from the gardens. Then I collect different kind of earth, different kind of sands like these. And I need to filter them up and give the fine texture that I want. Then and then some innovative ideas like the last one that you saw from the east. That was the one took me more time because I had to make a waterfall.
Can
Uh,
you just pull up that shot? Sorry to interrupt. Can you just pull up that shot so all our viewers can see that particular shot, and then
uh,
maybe you can explain that detail?
Sure. What I'll do is I'll share the video also of that making, because what I
All
did
right.
this time was because I have each of these shots were taking sometimes equivalent to 2 days. So I thought of documenting the process, which I wasn't doing before this. So I'll show you how I did the one with the waterfall.
Yeah. Let's see the one that you did with the waterfall, please, and just walk us through the process. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was how I pulled off
Absolutely,
the one which
absolutely
depicted East.
amazing. So we've got Deep with us. He's already excited, and I think we've got another subscriber or a follower to your channel. He's asking, "What's your YouTube channel or Instagram handle?" Yeah, I'm sure he wants to get a couple of tips from you. And don't worry, Deep. Varish will be happy to share all his secrets with you. That's why we got him here on the show and all. Because when I also saw this the first time, I was totally blown away, and I just wanted to share his creativity, his expertise, his skill, his vision, and the end result that he creates, and especially that you tell us that you don't do any post production, everything is just there. The kind of fame that you take, to get this thing on and on. So what is your Instagram handle and what is your YouTube channel? You don't have a YouTube channel?
No, I'm
What's your
afraid I don't have
Instagram
a
handle?
YouTube channel. So yes, I'm on Instagram. You can search it by the name Varish underscore cartographer. So Varish, that's my name, underscore cartographer.
Great. So we'll
So
put that up for Deep so that you can get in touch with you. Savio Scott again is a collector. I think he also collects scale models, cars,
thank
and
you
all.
guys.
And he's also blown away with everything. We've got Devang, who's again a scale model collector, and he's also like blown away. He says, "Love the work you do. Your fashion shows. Glad to know that some Indians are doing such marvelous dioramas and customizations, etc. in the world of the diecast and also yeah man, good stuff. Everybody's blown away. We've got Guru, who's like one shot, one video, because it's amazing that you take all this effort and you get just a couple of pictures to do this thing. I remember seeing another one that was there. I think you also did some stunts using something
Yeah,
like this. You want to pull that up for us as well, because that also is a very very interesting thing that I'm sure everybody would like to see.
yeah,
Guru,
sure.
Deep, Devang, all you guys, and all, just pull that up for us, man. I'm really excited to see how you did that particular one. And you
Okay.
do this just for that one shot, just that one shot, or do you want to go and make movies, or what?
So yes, I'm a bit primitive in my approach in that ways. Maybe the filmmakers did this kind of an approach where they make a set, a complete set for just particular shot or just a clip. So yes, I kind of follow that. Maybe that is lack of some Photoshop skills which lead me to doing these kind of works. But the idea is that I enjoy the process. The shot that I get is, yes, of course, out of a lot of hard work, but then the models that I get out of that, of course, I can use these dioramas for some future photographs that I want to click. And yes, it's a process very important, and I love doing that, and that's why I just want to follow the same way without processing them. So
Amazing.
like you
So it's that one picture, or you take a sequence of pictures,
Yeah,
or what?
so my primary focus, like in this Royal Enfield series, was to get one good shot. Even though I do two or three shots, but then it's mostly focusing on getting one or two good quality shots.
Right.
And that diorama is easily dismantleable. Yes, there's a lot of effort that goes into doing the setup. As you would see that sometimes I don't have that kind of a height to get a good horizon or to get in the good kind of light. So I use all the mini furniture that I have, the stools, the chairs. I stack them up. I do kind of an jugaad to, make that kind of a setup.
Jugaad,
So
the Indian phrase, jugaad. Jugaad is our best friend, man. We are Indians,
through
We
that.
have to do jugaad. थोड़ा adjustment, थोड़ा जुगाड़ है ना तो बनता ही है. उसके बगैर we're not Indians, right? And I think that is a skill set and all. But it's amazing the way you do that. Pull that other one up. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to
So
see that. I'm really
I'll
excited to
show you.
show
Yeah.
with the rest of the people.
So yeah, apart from Jugaad, there's another thing that I think maybe there's a bit of physics involved, bit of science involved, and you can pull off some really nice tricks. So I'm going to show you something again in which there was a risk involved because I did not know. I just had one chance for that shot, and luckily I was able to pull it off. And I'll show you what did I do actually.
Well, Savio, hang on. If you think that was amazing and all, you need to look at what Varish is going to share now. And yeah, that's it. Watch this.
So I did this one. I've done a couple of stunts, so I'll show you the more recent one, which I titled the jump. So this is the shot that I got, and yes, a lot of people can do this, but then this is totally unedited picture. If you see the picture carefully, there is a broken piece. There are broken pieces of glasses, and the guy is jumping out, and you see a bit of spark and all of that. So it's all real. So this is some behind the scenes. I made this diorama, and I'll show you how did I do it. This is how I did it.
Yeah, it shows that.
So yeah, this is how it was. So the idea was I wanted to break this glass for real, and it again started with a simple idea that I found a 1 mm thick small piece of glass somewhere from my house, and just looking at it, I thought I want to break it, but I want to use break it in an innovative way. So
Can you
what
show
I
us that
did,
video again, please? Yeah, I think all of us want to see that video again, the one that you just pulled out, man. Oh yeah.
yeah, sure.
What did you use for demolition of this thing, man?
So
What? What?
so, yeah, the idea
Do you
was
have a
that I
license? Do you have a license for doing something like this, or what? I mean, to play with all of this stuff and all, you definitely need a license, man. No?
I don't know. It was just a Diwali cracker that I used. So in fact,
Pataka.
I
You used a pataka to burst the glass, dude.
yeah, that's what.
Must have been one of those atom bombs or something like that that we're not allowed to play with and all. It's madness. How, yeah, now talk us through this, man. So what did you do?
So I'll tell you the thing. How did it started? So yeah. So I found this piece of glass, 1 mm piece, thick, very thin glass, and I wanted to just blast it away in a creative way. So I built up this wall. The idea was that it should look like that the biker has broken off the window and jumped off from the building. So what I did a controlled explosion. I used a good quality PVC pipe. I kept it right behind the window frame that you see, the one from which in the center, and I kept the piece of glass there, and the explosion was directional. So that's why it seems that is as if the explosion is of very great intensity, but actually it is not. It is because that all the force was only let out from one of these directions, and it came into the direction of the glass. It broke the glass. So just before the glass on the inside, I kept a few particles again because I wanted them to fly off when the blast happens. And I hung this guy with very minute thread. You can see again a lot of jugaad there, with that bamboo and all of that. So yes, in the post processing, I only removed that thread from the frame. Rest all of it, it was just one attempt, and I was able to capture this frame that you see. So apart from that, there was another similar thing that I did, to which everybody, Diwali in a way that I said that I hope you guys had a blast. So this was the kind of picture that I first attempted in a dynamic way, where I used a real explosive and I kept a model. And again, a lot of debris was kept near to the bomb, and that's what you see. So I'll show you again a video of that. And these are the pictures. So this is how the bomb was kept. There is a bit of debris there, small gravels which actually jumped off after the explosion. And this is how I kept my camera right in front of it. So this was a couple of dynamic shots that I did. Apart from that, there are a lot of stationary kind of thing, that I keep clicking with my models that I have, and sometimes I even do theme based. So I'll show you some more. I'll pull off some more. Like I did this one because I am a say Batman fan, and especially love the Dark Knight series by Christopher Nolan. So I had to buy the figures that were available. So I clicked some of these pictures. Again, these are totally unedited pictures. So this was one of them. Again, in a very controlled way. The light came in. Then this was done outdoors. And then this particular picture is something that clicked my mind that I wanted to recreate the scenes from the movie. Now, if you remember the
Okay.
return of the Batman from the last movie of the trilogy, The Dark Knight
Right.
Rises, so
Right.
he all of a sudden comes back, at that in one of the tunnels, and he pulls out his EMP gun and he shoots it at one of the guys who's running away from the stock exchange. So this is one of those shots that I try to recreate. Again, if you see those lights on the gun, on the EMP gun, those are not post processing. Those were again added through actual lights, which I used my mobile torch. I made a small paper funnel, and I focused it on the front of the gun, and that's what you see in the picture. Then the other shot is after he shoots at the thief with the EMP gun. There's a police guy right behind, and he shoots at the Batman, and it hits him on the EMP gun. So Batman just turn around. He turns around and he gives him a look. So this is that shot that I tried to recreate. And the diorama that you see, there's nothing that I did. I just made sure that I make this tunnel. So I made these beams, these beams out of sunboard, and I gave them a concrete texture. I made some cutouts for the lights, and then I was able to get these kind of shots. So again, I have a few behind the scenes for these. So yes, a lot of work goes into this also. This is how I build up this, using some printouts. This is the shorts, behind the scenes. This is how it was kept. This is the whole setup. So I used two of my mattresses, and I had kept some of these papers and everything to make it dark on the top. This was the actual, you know, the beam kind of structure that gave me the look of the tunnel, which I made. So just for these couple of shots, I made these with the sunboard, and this is the entire setup that I did. So yes, this is how I've been doing some of them.
You're you're insane, man. All of us watching over here, like, uh, especially new people who are coming in and all who really didn't know, who'd only seen your pictures, the final ones that you put out there and all. Everybody is just
So
like blown
this is
away
from
that
the
how
Top
much.
Gun.
This is from Top Gun. So the movies are your inspiration for trying to get these shots out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just that I loved the Top Gun movie that came back then, and then all of a sudden got excited after seeing the Top Gun 2 trailer. So I
Right.
thought, and this Ninja bike that I have again is of one of my collector friend, and he gave it to me. Just click some photographs, and I found it an opportunity because Tom Cruise is gonna ride this H2R, which I already have. So I thought of making this quick diorama, which should give a look of a garage or a hangar. I made this, this setup totally out of sunboard and paper, and yeah, these are some behind the scenes of how I made that setup.
How
And
much time did it take for you to do something like this? And another question: once you do them, what do you do with them? Are they dismantleable, or do you keep them away in a corner, or what do you do?
so honestly, my wife is tired of me because I have a lot of these props, a lot
She's
of these
tired of
dioramas.
you. Are you up for adoption?
So
I'm sure that a lot of us, scale model collectors and everybody else watching this thing who are just itching because what we try to do is we try to find a nice situation or a nice environment, something that looks, right, but it never just comes up because those things are never on to scale. So not only are you a crazy architect with insane modeling skills. You're a crazy photographer because, when you say that these things are not being processed to get the light to fall the way that it is, the highlights, the shadows. the mood that you create is absolutely amazing. We've got Shikant again, the biker photo maker, P pride of the community. Ashish wants to ask you a question. He wants to ask you, yeah, he was about to ask you what your wife has to say about it. Well, no, yeah, well, Ashish, you already got your answer to that, and now she's so sick of him. But yeah, go on. So she's
So
sick of
yeah,
you, and
I pulled up these photos just to show that I sometimes reuse these dioramas. So that's why I'm trying to keep them whatever space that I have in my house. Yes, I'm running out of space, but some of them can be dismantled. So some of them have been dismantled and kept. But like the same one which I used for Top Gun, I used here the same backdrop to create this kind of photograph. I'm very glad, getting the kind of comments that I'm getting from you because, yes, there are some trained people who can make out the difference, but I would also like to take this opportunity that a lot of people want to just hurry into get into, the kind of results that they want. Actually, I'm not a trained photographer. All of this I learned slowly through the process of, clicking, clicking it again and again and again, then analyzing them, then sharing it with your friends, sharing it with more experienced people, getting analysis from them, getting critical appreciation from them, and I'm very glad of having this community. In fact, you there, Shukant there are a lot of people who now I know for last 8, 10 years now. I can't name them all, but there is Ronnie, there is Pandan, there is Salakshay, all of them. They have taught. I have learned little things from them, and that's how I've slowly, gradually, tried to improve my quality of pictures. So the thing that I want to tell everybody is that you need to just spend some time, and you will slowly get there. I was never trained photographer professionally, but I slowly learned it, and I think everybody can slowly, eventually enhance their quality. Yeah.
yeah, but I think, like you rightly said, it's about enhancing the quality of the thing. And yeah, cycle through some of the shots while we talk. That, wow. I think I'm going to have to look at the shots again and again if I don't. Okay, anyway, but yeah.
So each of
Uh,
them have
uh,
some crazy stories as well. Yeah, this one was taken at a freezing 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, and on the expressway, the car is moving at fast speed, the gush of wind, and I was really freezing because I wanted that kind of vehicle moving behind in a slow shutter speed and that kind of an effect. So yeah, it takes sometimes some efforts. Yeah.
so that particular shot that we saw was a long exposure shot. So when you say that you're not really a photographer, I'm sorry, I totally disagree that you're not really a photographer. You're being very modest because to get these kind of shots, to get this lighting right, and especially in the conditions that you're shooting them. Oh wow, uh, yeah, it's insanely difficult to control the lighting to get everything to be spot on. Hey, I know that guy. Where did you get these figurines from? Do Did somebody make this for you? Do you buy them
Oh
off
yes,
the
I really
thing?
wanted to mention that. So even in fact, you know him, and everybody who's been following your show knows him. It's none other than but Ashish Chaudhary, who was there on the first episode. So he's a really helpful guy. He's again a crazy collector. He has some amazing collection and some amazing stuff that he's doing is 3D printing. So this is a 3D printed Sardarji, which I asked him to print for me, and he did it for me, and I'm so thankful to him. And then I painted it, and I've been using some of these props like this.
Was this on request that you wanted a Sadarji because a Sadarji or a Harley is a known thing, and so or it's very difficult to get a figurine of a Sadarji the way he is. I don't know. Manvinder is not here. He's not watching the show and all, but he's also a Sadarji who's the penchant for bikes, and all of us have this crazy penchant for bike. Oh, look at that! You've got one with COVID mask, and this is the COVID times depicting the current scenario. This is amazing, man.
Yeah. So as soon as we had the lockdown scenario, I thought I need to spread this message through the things that I do. So I thought of clicking this and putting this message forward that yes, we love our motorcycles. Yes, we would like to go on rides, but I think it's time to park them inside right now.
So for everybody who's watching the show, in case you need any figurines that you want to custom do, and we know that Ashish, wow, uh, I'm, s- we could spend hours analyzing each and every shot,
I
going
know.
through the details that you're doing over here. Oh, have okay, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, this is
I'm gonna stop
absolute.
showing now. Let's talk. I think
No,
rest. I
I
think.
don't. I don't think you need to stop showing. I think you need to tell us more. Because this really shows your passion. This really shows your
Okay,
thought process behind.
I'll show you one more thing. So
Show us
sometimes
a lot more, man. We'll extend the show. To see this kind of stuff and all. It is absolutely, absolutely insane.
So I'll tell you, like sometimes it just starts with one creative perception that you develop. So now when you're into miniatures, and I'm kind of a maniac who wants to see everything with that perspective. So a lot of things now start making sense to me. Like for example, in the Royal Enfield series, I used lychee, cardamom as coconut. So that's because I keep noticing things around me, and have a different perspective. How would that look in a smaller scale, or what would that mean to me in a smaller scale? So similarly, I had this piece of thermocol with me, which came out of a refrigerator packing or something like that. So I thought it's a very nice shape, and it has some nice puncture. So I painted it. I added some texture, gave it a concrete feel and look to it, you know, and then I clicked some photographs. This is the setup that I did for those photographs. I had to go in really harsh sun at 12 o'clock so that the sun is right on the top, and so that I can get the sun through those punches that you see. And then I was able to click some of these photographs. So this is again something that I did in this lockdown only. So yeah, so these are again some totally unedited pictures, and try to give it a look that there's some concrete structure and it's standing just below it.
I mean, this can only happen, when you have the vision, the sight, the foresight, and the planning to do something that is absolutely this insane. And when you tell us that you made this out of discarded refrigerator packing that's come out over there, so there's inspiration that you find in everything. And before we can even go on to create something that is as insane as the stuff that you're creating, I think I'm also a sort of like a photographer, amateur photographer, but I don't have a camera. I don't use a camera at all. I don't have the patience to use a camera. I usually click with my mobile phone. But I think it's very, very important to know that what actually makes a good picture, what it is. So, do you want to share some of that stuff as to when you say that I'm making a good picture? I mean, I can see the level of detailing that you've
So
got over there on these little things. What,
yeah,
according to you, actually makes the perfect picture?
so I think like I said, I have been clicking for some time, and initially I had a point and shoot camera, and I trust me, I had no knowledge about what do you mean by ISO, what do you mean by shutter speed, what do you mean by aperture, a few years back. But the thing that actually worked for me is a sense of composition, and I think that is one of the most important thing when it comes to a picture. So some people, they naturally have that. They might not know the real rules of composition when we
Show us
talk
some
about
more
rules of.
pictures while you talk about it, so that
Yeah, sure.
all of us can just put that. Yeah, so just put that on. Oh, yeah, go on. Yeah.
So, like I said, the sense of composition is something that I think is something very important, maybe, because a lot of people I see out there, they are very young also. I'm glad to see some of them doing some really nice stuff. But the message even that I would like to give them is that even if you're using a phone camera or a very basic camera or a PNS camera, you should try to get a good composition. You should try to see what is there in the frame. Maybe you can preconceive what you want to, how do you want to place your model, where do you want to keep it, Where do you want to focus upon? Do you want to keep it at an angle? What comes in the foreground? What comes in the background? And rest, yes, there are many other things like depth of field and all of that, which is more for the trained. But as a basic, that's even something that how I started as is that you need to have certain sense of composition. How do you frame, get a good, interesting frame that looks appealing, that looks aesthetically pleasing. So that is something that I wanted to tell. Yeah.
So then, obviously, when you do this photography and all, you would obviously be exercising the rule of third, the golden ratio,
Hmm.
and all of this stuff. So, do you think it's important for anyone who's trying to get into photography of these scale models or any kind of photography for that matter, to
Yeah, I
know
think
the
they're
basic
very important.
concepts of framing? Yeah.
So see, they are yes, they are very important because somehow sometimes it comes naturally. Like I said, there are a lot of in any art domain that you see, there are some people who are good singers without having a professional or a good training. Similarly, when it comes to painting or clicking, there are many people who do it without any training. So maybe I had a little sense of the composition which helped me. So. What actually happened was I learned it much later. The actual rules of the composition that we were talking about, like the rules of thirds or the golden proportions or the diagonals or the leading lines on the lead room and all of that. I learned that very recently, I would say. But what happened was, like I teach in
Can we
university, I
also
was
look at
all
your pictures also so that everybody
yeah,
gets
yeah,
inspired
sure.
even more? Yeah. Let's
So
just look at some of the pictures and let's talk. Yeah. Go on.
what happened
Oh,
was.
this is the golden ring. Oh yeah.
Now, this is another technique that I've used, which is called force perspective. So you try to take your background. Now, that's a real wall. So this is not any diorama. So you try to click in a particular point of view, creating a perspective that the entire thing looks as if it matches to the same scale. So this is a series that I did called the Street
This is
Arts,
in Lodi,
Lodi Colony. Yeah.
right, where they have all those art walls and they have all of this stuff. Oh my God. I've been to this place and, just to look at this artwork and all, but to see you using this whole concept of force perspective. So I think what you're trying to say is that it is very important when we're trying to click pictures to be able to place our scale models and everything in a certain position so that
Yeah.
when they line up with the background and the foreground and everything, it looks much bigger than it actually is.
Yeah, actually. So, yeah, these are the two thumb rules. I think most important one. One is we've already discussed about the composition. I'll continue the story that I was telling. So last year,
Yeah.
because since I'm teaching in a university, so there was this specialized lective. I think a couple of my
Oh, you
students would
teach
also
in a
be here on.
university also. That's also
Yeah.
amazing. Oh wow.
So,
Another hidden talent that
so
you didn't tell us about, but yeah, go on.
So there was this lective which I took up, which was called architectural photography, and for making lecture notes of that, I used some of my pictures, and I realized that a lot of pictures that I clicked in the past, I never knew about these rules of composition then, but somehow they
Okay.
still complied to the rules of thirds or some very fundamental sense of composition. So I was able to decode that. That's why maybe it is looking aesthetically more pleasing. So that's what I want to give the message out. The second thing that you just pointed out very nicely is about when it comes to scale model photography. A very important thing that people miss out is about the point of view. So there are many young collectors and photographers who really like doing it, but this is the smallest of you know uh, suggestion that I would like to give them. What they often do is that they click it from the top. So you need to actually come to the to the ground level on which the model is kept. You need to perceive it the way how that model will look if it is a one is to one car or a bike. So you need to come down,
And the
which is
angle
called
in which you would actually be looking at something like that, so
exactly.
that it
And
looks real. That's the
yeah.
trick. Yeah.
So that's one very important trick which I've seen a lot of young people have not been following. But the moment you do that, the realism the photorealism actually uh, enhances much more when it comes to film model photography. So these are again some of the clicks as this is one series that I did with some animals. So this is a puddle of water on the roadside. I have these some animal figures. I took this, made a juxtaposition of these two, and did this, and some very basic stuff. But yeah,
Oh, that's one of my favorite bikes that you've shown us just there. I remember when this bike actually came out. I was in school, and one of my friends went and bought it, and it was unlike anything that I had seen at that point in time, because all the other motorcycles that were coming out at that point in time were your usual round headlights, maybe the CB 750 and the four-panel exhaust, the twin one on top of the
true
other,
that.
which was again this thing. But when this came out, this is the Suzuki Katana, if I'm not mistaken. But this
This
one
one, yeah,
was, yeah, this bike changed everything. I mean, it looked like the bike from Battlestar Galactica, because I was a very big fan of the series back then when I was growing
yeah.
up. And this is the one that they used to come down when they came to Earth and did something like that in one of the series. But that is amazing. What about that other shot, the smoke and everything? Do you also have lenses and special lenses for your camera and all? Because you have obviously got a good camera. So do you change your lenses also? Is that very, very important? If I were to try and do something like this on a mobile phone, I know because of the we don't have that much control in a mobile phone. I don't think we've got the aperture in a mobile phone that we're not able to control. We've only got the ISO and the exposure and the focus that we can change, and maybe the shutter speed. But I think it's the aperture that gives the
Hmm.
depth. So do you actually employ special lenses when you're doing shoots like that,
Uh,
or what?
like, like I said, I learned it from my own process. So my dad bought this DSLR camera, and I have
Right,
a Nikon D5500, and I
right.
just have the kit lens, which is 18 140 mm. And when I first started using this camera, I had no knowledge about any of these manual settings, about the aperture, about the shutter speed. So again, I slowly learned, and like I said, right now I'm still continuing using the same camera. So it has a good wide range of 18 to 140. So I manipulate it according to my requirements. But I've been using the same kit lens, nothing in specific. So yeah, that's how I've been doing.
Phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. You're truly an inspiration to anyone and everyone who's watching this. And, the tour that you've given us of behind the scenes as to what it actually takes to create an environment like this. You've shown us about the process that you go about making dioramas, and then all of these other shots that you're showing us right now is the other technique that you mentioned about force perspective. Oh, so this is again a long exposure kind of a
Yeah.
shot. Then what
Yeah,
have
so
you
it's
got,
a
a
long
330 or
exposure, and
something?
yeah, it's a long exposure, and I used again one of these, Diwali sparkles, and I just ran it over quickly, and I just loved the rain that it had, So this is something I clicked with.
Amazing, amazing. This is absolutely insane. The shadows and everything that is coming out over here. And there you go. Saurabh Ambedkar. Ambedkar is again connector. He connects, I think, Volkswagens. He's obsessed with Volkswagens. He's also a professor somewhere. He's asking, Guruji, आप क्लास लेते हैं क्या? है? चलिए जी, आपका एक स्टूडेंट आ गया जी। सौरभ को आंसर करिए, बताइए जी, आप क्लास लेते हैं कि नहीं?
Not yet. I have not, this lockdown I've been fortunate to give more time to this hobby and this passion of mine. But apart from that, इतना time ही बहुत मुश्किल से मिलता था that I, do this photography. So time is a constraint, yes. But now, since I think I'm getting many of these requests, and maybe I have not thought about it, but yes, we can plan something, something more formally, I would believe, yeah.
Perfect. So, Saurabh, you've got your answer. Guruji is open to giving classes, and when Guruji is giving classes, even I would like to join and figure out how he does all of these things, because a camera DSLR era मुझे तो देख के ही डर लगता है इतनी सारी settings ये वो maybe patience नहीं है मेरे में I don't know. Point and shoot is probably something that I would be most convenient with and oh yes because but obviously the kind of that is not real. क्या है वो? What is that?
Uh,
कुछ
so
बताओगे?
I I was in Qatar, Doha for a few months for work purpose. So before I was in university, I was actually practicing as an architect. So for a project, I was actually for 3 months I was in Qatar, Doha. So I bought this model there, and I got this opportunity to click it with the Doha skyline. I thought it would just complement with that idea of how this car featured in the Fast and Furious when they go to Abu Dhabi. And so the idea of Gulf and W motors like in Hypersport with the Gulf skyline. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, but I'm surprised कि आपने वहां पे जाके आपको wow आपने वहां पे जाके कोई मोटरसाइकिल की फोटो नहीं खींची वहां पे
So
because
I
गल्फ
did
में
not.
तो मोटरसाइकिल्स तो बहुत चलती है
So I did not carry any models with me, of course, because of some
यार
luggage
वहां से
constraints.
खरीद लेते आप तो
But
फॉरेन कंट्री गए थे कुछ तो शॉपिंग किए होगे आपने वहां पे
I bought these two cars, the the GTR and this like. These are the only two things that I bought from there. Rest, I think everything was very expensive, and then there were regular stuff. I went hunting for diecast, but I found those same regular stuff which we find in India. So nothing in special. So I refrained from buying again from there. So these are some cars that I clicked, and I'll show you some Hot Wheels. I've not clicked many, but yes, couple of these. So this is one of the pictures which won me Hot Wheels contest. So they had a photography contest. So there was a first prize and there were four other special mentions. So I was one of the special mentions with this click. Again, a
this
totally
was
unintentional.
organized by Mattel that Mattel
Yes,
contest we were talking about which I think
exactly.
would be the yeah
Unfortunately,
I think yeah
unfortunately, the prize never came to me. I don't know, something
क्या
happened.
बात कर रहे हो Mattel never sent you that prize
Yeah, I don't know. Something happened. I don't know. I wrote to them, but it's okay. It's fine. I think the prize was
No,
some
it's not
popular.
okay. It's not fine and all. I know the folks at Mattel very well. I was sort of involved with this particular activity. I know that Gaurav won something. Gaurav Gupta won something. He's also a
Yes.
passionate photographer. Gigi's Miniature World, and we know that Viraj David actually got the top prize for
Yeah,
that
he
particular
got the
one.
top prize.
Yeah, and that particular picture that he took was, I think, something that we organized in the Hot Wheels Collectors India group, and we had a contest running called Make a Splash. And I remember that particular picture because it was, the rainy season, and I came up with this theme, to use water and everything. I think he's fortunate to be staying at a beach or something, so one of those shots there, and that got the prize and whatever it is. But wow. If they didn't give you a prize and all, dude, let me call them up. Let me call them up and we'll make
Thanks
sure
a lot,
that
Vinny.
give us a set of cars. Yeah, तू पहले ही बोलता है ना, we would have called them up and
No,
we
no,
could
no
take around
problem.
it
No.
because no, no, it is a
No,
problem. For me, it is a
what
problem.
actually meant more was to get for getting recognized for this picture, because it was in a way first of its kind that I participated in a competition and got recognized. Yes, there have been a couple of Facebook competitions that I keep participating in, like Shukant manages Diecast Collectors India. They had a contest a few years back, and I got a reward, a diecast model of a Java. So that was
Right.
the first which I remember. And then second one was this one with the Hot Wheels. So it meant a lot, getting recognized. I was on cloud nine already to see my name there. So it doesn't matter that way. So coming up to something that I clicked recently again, I had these small construction equipments and a small quick setup that I did at my home, and I clicked these photographs. And some of the props again I made in a day.
So I noticed that all your shots, like you rightly said, are from the perspective as a person would see them. But
Yeah.
it would be insanely difficult, when the models get smaller and smaller and smaller. that would be a big challenge to do when they do that. I mean, I can see that, but you seem to have pulled it off absolutely perfectly. So I'm assuming that your DSLR camera would have helped you a lot in something like this.
Yeah, yeah. So the camera definitely it matters, and yes, you are right about as if the model is really small, it becomes even more tricky to deal with the models and to capture them in a realistic manner. So yes, you need to have that trained eye. You need to click a couple of shots, so and then analyze and then go back and click and yeah that so in that phase I think the 1 by 12 scale that I collect is quite appropriate for me.
Absolutely the
It gives
perfect
me
scale.
freedom.
Yeah, for sure.
It gives me freedom to play with, but then the dioramas that I have to make for them are quite large. So that is the issue that I. And when you have larger dioramas, the details are more visible. So I need to give more effort to make those surfaces look real. I need to pull in more work to make those textures appear as real texture. I because they would be more visible as opposed to when you make dioramas for smaller scales. It wouldn't be that like sometimes people use those two-dimensional backdrops and you click your 64 scales on that. It can be done
Right.
very easily because the depth of say a window frame or anything that is three-dimensional is not that considerable. But when it comes to a larger scale, the window frame would be very evident, or any such small thickness would be very evident if it is in a two-dimensional, frame. So that's where I need to make these dioramas and give a real texture to them. Yeah.
That is amazing. That this has been most insightful. You know the way that you've done this. And one other request that I got is that does this guy make dioramas for sale? If somebody wants to make a diorama for their scale model collection or something like that, would you be open to making something on request for people and obviously for a monetary remuneration?
Well, to be honest, I'm still thinking about it because I never knew. I still find a lot of room for improvement to go make it top notch and to make it up to that professional level. But I am also confident that yes, I can do it up to that level. But it requires a lot of time. So that is something that is keeping me at bay right now. I keep having these chats with my wife. She has been immense support, and in fact helped me with a couple of these dioramas. I have a younger brother who's very talented who helps me in clicking them also sometimes. So
Okay.
I've had these chats with my wife where we have discussed, let's chuck our regular jobs and let's do this full time. Let's click, let's make dioramas, let's do some artwork like these. There are many other artwork that we love to do. We make some diary covers and all of that. So we would be glad to do it, but right now it's still in pipeline. We have not considered. It's under
Maybe you need
consideration
your
for sure.
first order. I think yeah, that's what you need. You know, when you need your first order that actually comes to you and said, because yeah, I'm sure after people see this kind of work, and especially the kind of output that you're getting, and you know, people would be interested in doing something like this. I know that a couple of people are. I'll point them in your direction, so that the kind of stuff that you do and the kind of pictures that you take and the kind of stories that you're able to create. I think that's very important because what you're doing actually is telling stories. You're using a scale model collection. When we started the chat right now and let's talk, it was about I get this, I get this for so much, I import this from here, and then we saw the display, then we saw the enormity of the display, then we saw the special models of the display, then we discussed the values of those things, and now we actually see the kind of output that you're creating for something as insane as this, which is absolutely mind blowing. I think all of us who watched
Thank you.
this show for the last hour and a half almost, have
Wow,
been
hour and a
glued
half.
to our seats. So here you go. See, so that's what happens when we talk with Vineet on Let's Talk. That we always come about and we always have a casual conversation. And now I don't we've talked about so many things and it's been most insightful and exciting. And There you go. We didn't even realize that we've been chatting for about an hour and a half,
Wow,
and
I'm
that's
really sorry
actually
to take up that much of time.
no, it's not about taking up that much of time. See, we've got Paresh Pahuja who's there right now. See, there you go. We've got we were talking about it. Devang is there. Devang is saying I would gladly play for such dioramas. Please let me know when you're ready. There you go. Commissioner, बाद में बात करेंगे. Okay. And we've
Really,
got
yeah,
Varish
sure,
Pahuja
sure.
who's there. He's saying kindly show some diaries as well, pictures and things like that. Well, I'm sure that the kind of artwork that you create and all this can be used, in a to create the different kind of things that we want to do, whether we can print them on diaries, pillows, paintings, posters, and all of this stuff that is there. The effort I think that you're making and going behind and creating these scenes and to make them look life size and make them look lifelike, which is very, very important. That you and I will discuss off screen, and we will take this forward and take it to a new dimension because I always believed, uh, find a job and never go to work again. And that should be your ideal job. You've been trained professionally in a skill that you're out doing. You're teaching in a university. You're imparting such great knowledge, and you've still got time for your passion, and you've got the output is actually mind blowing. All of us could learn so much from you doing this. And thanks for taking the time out and joining us on Let's Talk with yours truly. This, my dear people watching back at home, is Varish Panchal. You can see his name over there. We share his Instagram handle. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. If you would like to get in touch with him, hook up with him on Instagram. I'm sure that he'd be happy to do this for you. And we've already got a couple of orders. We're getting a couple of more requests over here. I can see on the screen. Uh, there you go, Varish. I hope it was as fun for you, as much fun for you
Oh,
talking to
really,
me
really.
about this whole thing, the
Padi,
way
it's
it has
always
been.
so pleasure talking to you, and I want to thank you again for this opportunity. I
No,
would
no.
love to help all the enthusiasts in any possible way, whether it comes to finding info about any model or when it comes about executing a diorama. I'm ready to help in any possible way. You can reach out to me, and thanks again, Padi, for all the praises, and thank you for inviting me
Thank
here.
No, thanks
And
to you. The output itself is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, we're fortunate to have, you took the time out and came here with us and enlightened us with your knowledge and shared with us the behind the scenes because a lot of people, when they create stuff, they really don't want to tell the secret because a magician never tells. But you, my dear friend, you're a magician of another caliber who's actually spilled the secrets out like all our
thank
other
you.
friends on Diecast and all. We've got a very nice, close-knit community where we share,
True
we
that.
create our passion, and we'd love to share it with the rest of the world. On that
Sure.
note, thanks so much, Varish. It's been so
Thank you again,
exciting.
Padi.
Thank you all people for joining
Thank you,
us
folks.
on this special. No, man, thank you. And on that note, let's cut to the thanks. Just to thank all the
Yeah.
other people who've come and joined us for
Yeah.
this
Thank you,
particular show,
everybody. Yeah.
and this will be available to watch again on the Loofre page on the hobby show. It's called Let's Talk, and soon it'll be on YouTube. Take it, share it, spread the knowledge, share the knowledge, and create outstanding artwork like our dear friend Varish here. So, till next time, where we have another show with another guest and to share even more exciting things, this is Vineet with Varish. Thank you so much, and let's talk. See you next time, Friday, 5 o'clock.